How are you doing? It's Monday. We're a little bit earlier than usual. That's Motty. I'm Scotty. We thought we'd try and do something a little bit different. We've been talking about Saturday's game and we probably mentioned it. It was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, man. Do you know what I mean? It was enjoyable. Manchester United winning, of course. I know the first half went great, but a win is a win, and we're happy with that. And actually, it was good to see the likes of Garnacho, Højlund getting on the score sheet, Marcus looking good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Not going to lie.
Yeah, but we were talking about Mason Mount being number 7 at Manchester United.
Yeah.
And we thought we might look back at the best and worst number 7s for Manchester United. We're going to keep it to the Premier League era. Before I get involved in the chat, let us know who you think is the best number 7s play for Manchester United and who is the worst to put on the Red Devils shirt. If it's the first time watching, make sure you're subscribing and liking the show. Do you want to go worst or best first? Should we go
let's yeah, we can. What we're doing is we're just going through them and just chatting about them. Or how do you want to do it? Do you want to do it chronologically? Do you want to do the top 5, the worst 5, something like that? How do you want to do it? Chronologically, all right. So we're going to do the Premier League era.
We'll say best, worst.
Right,
so
okay.
We'll just nominate.
All right, sound. So obviously, when I was a kid, Brian Robson was the number 7. But by the time he got to the Premier League era, he just stopped being the number 7. I think his last season as the 7 was the last Division 1 campaign. Then when we went into the Premier League, once Eric came in, during that season, he took the number 7 shirt, didn't he?
Who did he take that off?
Well, I don't know, actually. It's a good question, because it would have been Robbo's. And then I think because Robbo wasn't starting, they give it to Eric.
This was the time when squad numbers were a little bit different.
Yeah, and then it was Eric's number for like the next 5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And Robbo took number 12 as his squad number. So that was the sort of end of that era. Because if you're talking about the best number 7s, Brian Robson's arguably the best number 7 we've ever had. But we're sort of keeping it to the Premier League era. So it's not right to say Brian Robson was number 7 in the Premier League era, because he weren't.
No.
It was Eric.
I mean, Eric Cantona was in my mind, is the catalyst for where Manchester United are today. The success that came from his signing, obviously intrinsic with Sir Alex Ferguson's management and Matt Busby above them. But Eric Cantona, what can you say about the man that hasn't already been said, to be honest? He was a genius, a flawed genius, an enigma, a poet on the pitch, unpredictable. Beautiful. I don't think today in modern football we'd see a player like Eric Cantona, just because of his flamboyance, his whole sort of way of playing football. You couldn't, very systematic today. It was a lot more, what's Eric going to do? He's going to, compose the match.
Yeah, I don't think he'd like it. I mean, Eric Cantona could play in any era in terms of his ability, his talent and what have you, but I don't think he'd like what football is about nowadays. And he was very much his own man. The thing with Eric, he was the star at Manchester United, but you never heard any issues in terms of contracts or anything like that. I don't think he was bothered about the money side of things. He liked to paint, he did poetry, like you said. Obviously turned his hand at acting once he'd retired. Very much, I like the term you use, enigma. And part of what made Eric great was not just the fact that he was the catalyst to us becoming the greatest team in the land, but also the way he carried himself and some of the things he did. Like him climbing into the stands and fighting racism against Matthew Simmons. Like, that cost United a double.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd swap that for anything. I think if you go back in time, I'm glad he did it.
I mean, that's often celebrated more than some FA Cup wins.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no doubt, you know what I mean? Once he got that ban, we lost the league title to Blackburn by a point and we lost the FA Cup final to Everton. If he'd just not been banned, we'd have won both those trophies. But I don't blame him for what he did, and I kind of think it sort of adds to his aura of just being a mercurial genius who didn't take any shit off anyone.
No,
I love that about him.
He certainly didn't. You mentioned there, like, he probably wouldn't like it today. He was a romantic for the game. I think he still is in many ways. You hear him speak about it now and how much sort of money's impacted the sports. Although he does do some questionable adverts, but we won't mention anything about that. So undoubtedly, Eric Cantona goes into some of the best number 7s. Where would you place him? High, low, mid?
For me,
we'll do numbers at the end.
Yeah, I think he's got to be right up there. Okay. I think Eric Cantona is arguably the GOAT for me for number 7s. I mean, you might
on ability though. Do you think Eric Cantona had the ability of some of the others that we were going to talk about?
There's only one player I think in this list who you could argue ability-wise was better than Eric Cantona.
Michael Owen.
No. Yeah. You nailed it, the Di Maria. No, I think obviously Cristiano Ronaldo is... Cristiano Ronaldo, right? You forget how good he is. He's the only Premier League player that's in the conversation for being the greatest of all time. Now, most people now have said it's Messi, but for many years it was, is it Messi or Ronaldo or maybe Maradona? But he was the only Premier League player you've ever had in that conversation. No one's ever said that Henry or Rude were the greatest players of all time. Do you know what I mean? Or Aguero or whatever. No one's made that case, not realistically. But with Ronnie, they have. So I think in terms of ability, Ronnie is the best number 7 that Manchester United have probably had, certainly the Premier League era, because he's the only Premier League player that is arguably the greatest player of all time. There's no other Premier League player that you can say that about.
No, that's
just you don't ever. I have never realistically heard the debate or seen a debate where you've gone Messi or someone else from the Premier League. It's either Messi or Ronaldo, and it's not just because of what Ronnie did in the Premier League, although obviously that plays a part. Winning the Ballon d'Or and scoring 42 goals in a season, winning the Champions League, is part of what makes him great, but also what he did at Madrid. So I just feel in terms of ability, you've got to put Ronnie at the very top. But in terms of aura, iconic status, who's more of a legend for Manchester United, Ronnie or Eric? Eric all day long.
Unquestionable, I think. And especially with the way Ronaldo left the last time as well, I think that may have sullied his legacy at Manchester United in the eyes of some of the fans. Okay, who took number 7 off the back of Eric Cantona? Was it Mr. Becks?
I think it would have been, wouldn't it? Because Beckham I think he had his eyes on it. He was number 10, then 24, then 7, I think was his route to the number 7 shirt. And listen, with Beckham, there's this weird thing with David Beckham, right? We've seen it a lot lately with this whole Alexander-Arnold argument, and I think there's this element of everyone doing it about Fergie's Manchester United team, Manchester United players, sort of downplaying how good they were, and sort of say, if you listen to even some of the ex-players themselves, they always downplay how amazing that team was, or how amazing they were as individuals. And rivals revel in that, and they're like, oh, United weren't even that good, and you think, if every player we had weren't that good, how did we win all them titles?
Yeah.
I'd win 13 titles and 2 Champions Leagues and the treble and all that. Obviously, we had a very, very good team and some amazing players. And Beckham, for me, is one of the most underrated, because whilst people respect him and admire him and he's iconic and all the rest of it, I think sometimes he's dismissed as this almost just, husband of a pop star, mega famous footballer who was more about his sort of fame than his ability. Well, that's not fair, because David Beckham for Manchester United was an 8 out of 10 player pretty much every game. And if you look at that 99 season when we won the treble, and it's very rare this happens to me, whenever I've looked back at that season, I always thought Roy Keane was the man that season. I've always thought Keano's performances, his leadership was what made him, if you had to pick a best player, it'd be him. And I've kind of revised it a little bit. I think Steve's got in my head, because me and him talk about it all the time. And I think actually that campaign, the best player wasn't Stam or Keane or York, even though all 3 of them were amazing. It was actually David Beckham. I think
that's a bold statement.
I think, well, you look at the games, right? Here's one for you. Have you ever watched the game against Juve in the Stade d'Alpe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched the performances and watched Beckham's performance? Because everyone goes on about Roy Keane, I understand that. Roy Keane gets booked, knows he's going to miss the final, pulls his socks up and absolutely rallies the team and gives the sort of quintessential captain's performance. Watch Beckham in that game. He's ridiculous. He's everywhere. His ability on the ball is unreal, and he just makes things happen. Fast forward as well to the final. Keane obviously didn't play in the final, he was banned. The one player in the United team that plays the full game and has a good game is Beckham. Everyone else is a bit ropey. That's not a great game from a Manchester United point of view. Beckham is phenomenal. And the thing that Beckham suffers from is that season. Think of all the best goals that season, all the iconic goals, or the goals that mattered. Like you think of Giggs' run in the semi-final, Andy Cole's chip against Spurs. Who was the one that scored the first goals in those games?
Yeah, Beckham, yeah.
And he doesn't get his flowers because people don't remember the Beckham goal against Spurs. Everyone talks about the Andy Cole game. It's a great goal, the equaliser, and he broke the net, didn't he? People don't remember that screamer he scored against Arsenal from about 25 yards out, because everyone just talks about Ryan Giggs' run, and I get it, but Beckham was always there. And then you go to the final, who's the guy putting in the crosses? Who's the guy that kept going and got us them, helped get us those corners, especially the first one? David Beckham. So I just feel like for Becks, he is a bit underrated, because whenever you sort of have this chat with anyone nowadays, it's like, Beckham was all right, but he's nowhere near as good as Trent Alexander-Arnold. What the fuck are you on about?
Do you think his sort of emergence with the pop culture world has overshadowed his ability on the pitch?
I don't think it overshadowed his ability. I think it...
No, but maybe retrospectively.
Oh, you mean like in terms of people's perception of him?
Yeah, because people look back and
it affected him.
No, not affected him, but affected the perception of him. Like, people look back and they think of the sarong, obviously dating Victoria, stuff that was going on with him and Ferguson, the boot to the face, and then when he went to Real Madrid, there was a lot of media that went around David Beckham in a way that there wasn't with any other players. I think Giggs had it earlier on in his career, but Ferguson seemed to nip that in the bud to an extent early doors. But what Beckham became was very much the sort of antithesis of what Ferguson wanted his players to behave like, and I think that was his undoing at the club.
Yeah, Fergie didn't like the whole fame thing, did he? And Fergie did some questionable things with David Beckham. Obviously, the boot in the face, I know it was an accident, but it weren't great. Dropping him for the Real Madrid game, I thought was insane. I think he played Veron, didn't he, at right wing, and it was just like, what are you on about, mate? Why have you done that? I remember at the time just not getting it. Yeah. Beckham comes on and scores 2 goals. It was just ludicrous. Yeah, obviously that affected his relationship with Fergie. There's a big debate that still rages as to whether Beckham actually wanted to go to Madrid and kind of engineered it, or he didn't want to go. But I watched the Beckham documentary. One thing I didn't like was seeing the sort of the fact that when he found out he was being sold, he tried to get hold of Fergie and he wouldn't speak to him. I thought that was a bit harsh, and I think Beckham was treated a bit harshly by Sir Alex. I love Sir Alex Ferguson, but I think that's the one criticism I have of him is sometimes with certain players he was a bit too harsh with him. Yeah,
but I mean, that's in the same way that sort of behaviour was probably what made him the man that he was. You know, that sort of,
to a certain degree,
ruthlessness.
Yeah, but I think sometimes it crosses the line of being ruthless and being a bit like, I get you selling a player, but you can talk to the kid. You know, you've known him since he was 14.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a human level there, like the Roy Keane thing, like the Rooney thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, like Rooney Fergie was retiring. There was no need to be arguing with him. Do you know what I mean? Do you remember, like,
I understand.
The season was finished and you still won't give him a hug. Do you know what I mean? And little things like that. And I think, listen, I don't want to criticise Fergie, but that was one issue that I always felt like it was a bit unnecessary for me.
So Beckham obviously going into the best pile. What's the next number 7?
The next number 7 after David Beckham. In fact, do you know what?
Is it Valencia?
In fact, let me go to United season. So Beckham left in 2003, didn't he? So it'll be 2003, 2004. Sorry about this. I should have had this up.
Oh, Ronaldo.
Did Ronaldo take the number 7 straight away? Let's have a look here. Number 7 is Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah, he did. So from 2003, 2004. Cristiano Ronaldo.
What a run that is of number 7s, by the way. This is this is only going to go one way. We peaked.
Yeah, we have peaked. So you've got 3 of the greatest players ever, and 4 if you want to go back even further to Robbo, who've ever played for Manchester United, all wearing the same number shirt. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is when it fully became a thing, because people kind of tried to make it a thing once this happened, because before, well, not tried, but it became a thing. Before this, it wasn't as much. People say, oh, it's always a little.
I don't remember it being a
thing.
But
I don't remember. And also, people sort of like, best wasn't always number 7, but you put him in that bracket. Sometimes I think he were 11.
11, yeah.
Yeah, so like, this is when it became a thing, when Ronnie got it and started doing what he did. Everyone was like, yeah, look at these number 7s. I mean, you might argue it's always been a bit of a thing, but this felt like it took it to another level, because then you've got, a Europe, when he eventually won the Champions League, Ballon d'Or winning, 42 goals in a season.
Phenomenal, wasn't he? He was just an incredible player. And he went from this sort of scrawny kid. I remember we'd sold Beckham, and there was rumours that we were going to sign Ronaldinho that summer, wasn't there? And that fell through. And God only knows what that would have been like to have Ronaldinho.
Well, did you see Steve spoke to Peter Kenyon about that? Because the rumours were that Peter Kenyon had ballsed it up. It was all agreed. And he got out to do the deal, and he ballsed it up, and then there was more rumours and conspiracy theories that he'd done it on purpose because he knew he was leaving and go to Chelsea. I don't think that's fair, and I think he explained it pretty well. The deal was going to be done with Paris Saint-Germain for Ronaldinho to come to Manchester United. It was kind of all set, and then I think Ronaldinho wanted extra money for his entourage, for like his agent, and his agent, like, he had a lot of agents, and that moved the goalposts. So obviously we didn't end up getting him. You don't know what would have happened.
No.
I mean, you can't moan too much. We ended up running.
And then we went to Lisbon to play Sporting Lisbon in a pre-season friendly. And then this young, scrawny kid absolutely annihilates everybody.
O'Shea, yeah.
And then all the players, apparently, as rumour goes, told Ferguson to sign him. That's how it's supposed to be. But the rumours Wenger was supposed to be after him.
Well, no, he'd agreed a deal with Arsenal.
Oh, right.
So Arsenal, I think, were ready to buy him for whatever, 10 million or something, or 7 million. And I think that might have lit a fire under Fergie, because Fergie and David Gill were both there, apparently. So when they've watched that, inquired about him, he was, who the hell's this kid? The players like, this kid's a nightmare. John O'Shea's like, I can't cope with this. And then I think one of the sort of real catalysts for it was like, well, apparently he's agreed to go to Arsenal. And it's like, well, we need to act now, otherwise we're not going to get him. I think, had he not agreed to go to Arsenal, they might have waited. They might have just said, because it's quite rare to sign a player there and then on a friendly. But I think they might have gone, okay, well, we'll wait till we get back to Manchester and maybe, get the scouts or whatever. Or
get more sort of evidence.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But they just went, no, let's get the deal done now. And obviously, United are a bigger club than Arsenal. Ronaldo was happy to sign. The rest is history. But what a player, man! What a player.
I remember his debut against Bolton when he first came on. He had that sort of yellow streak. With,
was it Ricardo Gardner who's the left back?
Yeah. Just step over King.
Absolutely destroyed him, didn't it? Honestly, it was so exciting. People in the comments, let us know your favourite and your least favourite, your best and your worst number 7s. Hit that like as well, please, people. Over 50 people watching. We've got 11 likes. That's disgusting. Ridwan says CR7, Cantona, Beckham, Robson, Cavani in that order. I had to sneak Cavani in there. We'll talk about him later. Phobo Sacco Man says best Ronaldo, worst Sanchez. Not too bad. Ridwan says this channel is underrated. I wish you health and success, lads, and subscribers, of course. Lol. Thank you. Ridwan says, didn't Peter Kenyon say the plan was to sign Ronaldinho and CR7? We could have had both together. I've not. He might have done, actually. I've not. I watched that interview the other day. That would have been unreal. Darren Walters says, not a number 7, but a year ago. Today we lost our Bobby. Shout out to this country's greatest ever player. I agree. Jim Mack says Mount could be a late challenger. Lol. Well, he's got an advantage in the fact that he is the number 7 now. He's the only one on this list who can do something about it. I don't see it happening, but I'll be more than happy to eat my words. So Ronaldo, is he the greatest number 7 we've had Premier League era?
I would say greatest in terms of ability and what he achieved at Manchester United, probably the greatest number 7. But I just think with the whole mystique and personality and love for Manchester as a place and Mancunians, Eric Cantona just will always for me be number 1, but Ronaldo would be number 2, but certainly in the best pile. Do you think his comeback has changed how people respond to him did it tarnish his legacy?
Not really, not for me. I'm not overly bothered.
What about with the Piers Morgan stuff? And
I don't. It was not great, but I don't think doing an interview with Piers Morgan should affect your legacy. If your legacy is that fragile, you haven't got one.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? If doing an interview with Piers Morgan when you're probably already on your way out of the club anyway is enough to make people think you're no longer a great player or whatever. I think it is. You never were in the first place. I think he's too good for that tomorrow. This is where, have you ever sort of watched one of those cartoons like Roadrunner or whatever, and the Wile E. Coyote runs after Roadrunner and Roadrunner runs across the sky? Wile E. Coyote gets to the halfway across the sky and then realises he can't run that fast and drops to the floor.
Are we about to plummet?
Yes.
Okay.
Massively. We are Wile E. Coyote in this analogy. Yeah.
Who's at that bottom?
Right. So after Cristiano Ronaldo left, we replaced one Ballon d'Or winner with another one in Michael Owen.
Oof.
Yeah. What could go wrong? Well, everything. Yeah. For me, just a pretty disastrous signing. I know we'll always have the 4-3, but we kidded ourselves that we could let Ronaldo and Tevez go and replace him with Valencia, Obertan and Michael Owen. Valencia was all right, but the other two were absolutely
Valencia
useless.
Went on to wear number 7 as well.
He did all right.
But Michael Owen, there's 100,000,001 reasons why Michael Owen should never have signed for Manchester United. And yes, he'll always have that goal against Man City. But what really stuck in my craw about Owen's signing was that we were supposedly getting Benzema, weren't we?
Yeah.
And even Ferguson, I think I'm right in saying, phoned Owen and said, we're going after this lad, Karim Benzema. If we don't get him, we're having you. Yeah. And that's not much of a trade-off.
No.
You've got Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Potentially Benzema.
Yeah.
Michael Owen.
Yeah.
Newcastle legend.
I mean, the thing with Owen, right, is at the time I think he wasn't that. He's like 28, 29. So you look at it and you go, okay, right. On paper, he's still.
But he was young, but he started young though.
In theory, he's still got something left in the tank. You're going to put him into a United team that dominates the ball, that creates so many chances. He's a poacher type of player that you think if we can get them balls into the box like we normally do, he'll thrive off that. And I kind of got it. Even though I didn't 100% agree with it, I kind of bought in and I was like, all right, okay, I can see why this worked. But let's not forget, this is a guy that he released a brochure on it to try and get people to buy him just before we bought him.
Really?
Yeah, do you remember that, the Michael Owen brochure? See if I can pull it up. Yeah, he released a brochure because...
It was like flaunting around like door-to-door salesman.
Yeah, so...
Buy my striker.
It was the Michael Owen glossy brochure. So it had so there's brand values. So
that's what you want in a signing.
Yeah, most professional. This is a physically hard copy brochure that he sent out to clubs that you could read, and it said Michael Owen brand values. Most professional sports people have limited appeal. Michael Owen scores in a wide range of categories and offers huge commercial benefits to whoever he plays for. And then it's got a list of things like fit and healthy, it's a joke, first class, successful, young, enthusiastic, instinctive, aspirational, cool, yeah, all right, charismatic, Jesus Christ. Then you've got this was 32 pages as well. There was a medical review by some professor who reviewed him and said how he was great. Then there was like a list of his achievements and the opportunities that he got. Michael Owen is one of the most feared goal scorers in the world with a career record for Liverpool, Real Madrid, Newcastle United of England of 243 goals in 433 starts, an average of 0.56 goals per game. Yeah, it was just a load of lists of like his achievements, his goals, his record. Just it's like an advert for him.
It's like, do you think he did it himself on PowerPoint at home and he's like speaking to
he ain't got a brain to do that,
what do you reckon to this? Cool? Should I put that down?
Yeah, someone's done it for him, but he was 29. He was. So it says, in these difficult economic times, Michael Owen could be the best value signing of the summer following Newcastle's relegation from the Premier League. His belief in the potential management capability of his longtime friend Alan Shearer meant that he probably would have taken up the offer on the table to extend his contract at St James's had the club stayed in the top flight. I think that was a little...
So did he go to Real Madrid after that?
No, he went. They got him from Real Madrid.
Oh, did we get him from Newcastle then?
Yeah, well, he was on a free
agent.
Yeah, he was a free agent. So we got him just injured. Like he could have played a part. I know he won a title, but he won it.
The thing with Michael Owen, I think he was a player that he peaked very early in his career, obviously with England and Liverpool, and he had a decent 5-year spell. But I think once the injuries and started catching up with him, I don't think his career was ever the same. But for United basis, he has to go in the worst bin of number 7s at Manchester United.
Yeah, definitely. He's one of the worst because he was just almost completely useless. It's just that one goal. And also, I quite like the fact he won a Premier League title, and it used to wind the Scousers up.
Yeah.
Next up is Antonio Valencia. Bit of a weird one, Valencia. Go on.
I liked him, and the reason was because, like when your dad doesn't like something, you tend to like it and you rebel against it.
Yeah,
my dad,
I hear that.
Antonio Valencia, we used to stand in the Stretford End, and my dad would be like, "He's so shit. He's only got 1 foot," and I was like, "Yeah, but what a foot, Dad?" Because he was probably one of the most one-footed player that Manchester United had. But he was renowned for being a bit of a beast in the changing rooms. I think there was a Rio Ferdinand quote from back in the day where he said he used to like throw weights around like no one's business. He was a club captain as well, don't forget.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him as a number 7. We have to remember he only did one season number 7. He actually gave it up.
Because he was a winger when we first signed him and then went to a right back, am I right?
Yeah, but he didn't want it. He didn't want the number 7 shirt. He wasn't that guy. So he had it in the last time he won the title. And the following season, I don't even think we had a number 7 for that season. I think he went to number 25 and we didn't have a number 7. So he wasn't, I'm not having that. It wasn't for him, and I kind of get it because sometimes you just sort of thrusting things on people and it's like, hang on a minute. So Valencia as a number 7, he had that one season where we won the title, he did all right, but he's not one of the more iconic number 7s. I think he was just okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? After him, then it gets worse.
The thing is, though, because because Valencia stood it down, that only adds to the pressure. I think the mystique of the number.
Because no one does that, do they?
No, who's going to wear this 7?
If that was number 6, he wouldn't give a toss.
No. Yeah, so straight away there's a weight behind it. So whoever's going to come in now needs to be able to wear that number 7 with a want and a drive to make sure Manchester United reach the tops with a smile on their face. Who was it?
Angel Di Maria.
Huh?
All intents and purposes, one of the worst signings we've ever made.
Had that goal against Leicester.
How did we get on in that game?
Don't know.
Yeah.
I turned off.
Yeah. A goal in the 5-3 defeat is the best we can say. He was at Wanfield. We'll give him that. Just not a good signing. Started off all right, to be fair to the kid. I think he's played a month in his first month. But just didn't want to be here. Didn't play like a man who wanted to be here. Just a disastrous signing. And we were lucky we got a decent chunk of money for him off Paris Saint-Germain. So, yeah, didn't want to be a number 7, didn't want to even be in Manchester, and I think he's made that clear since he's left because all he's done is slag us off.
Angel Di Maria sort of typifies that whole saying that if Real Madrid want to sell a player, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, how often does it happen? The fact that we got him, I remember saying at the time, I said, there's got to be something, I can't imagine, because they just won the Champions League.
But the thing is, it's weird because they won the Champions League and he was man of the match and all the players loved him.
Yeah.
They all raved about him.
Why is he going?
And there was this idea that Real Madrid maybe were doing a bit of balancing the books or whatever to try and bring in other players. Whatever reason we got him, he weren't good enough. He didn't want to be here.
Do you think it was that he wasn't good enough or he just didn't care enough? Because you can't take away the talent that Angel Di Maria has as a footballer and what he's achieved.
But you can say that about any signing we made.
World Cup winner, PSG.
So was Cleberson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to say World Cup winner, right? Cleberson was a World Cup winner, but
like Champions League winner.
He's a good player, but he weren't good for United.
No, well, so I'm saying that he had more ability than a Michael Owen or a Valencia. So what I'm saying is it didn't work out for numerous reasons, but you can't say the kid wasn't talented.
I wouldn't say he wasn't talented. I just don't think he was as talented as we thought he would be. And I think there's an element of you could be a good player in a great team and shine. Like Pedro's a great example. Pedro in that Barca team always played well, always did well, was a good player. When we missed out on him, because I think Van Gaal changed his mind, I weren't bothered.
No.
Because he'd won Champions League. I think he scored in the Champions League final, didn't he? He was a player of fucking Pedro, but he was never their guy. He wasn't a Xavi or an Iniesta. And I think with Di Maria, very, very talented, but there's always been these sort of slight question marks around his temperament, and he just didn't want to be here. And that first month when you watched him, you thought, fantastic, yeah, you can see why we got him. But then he was playing off the striker. Van Gaal didn't know what to do with him. I think his house got burgled with someone trying to rob his house, didn't help. So talent, yeah, but not talented enough for me to justify it. Again, you talk about talent. The next one, talented kid, Memphis Depay. Almost as bad, if not worse, as Di Maria.
I think
for United.
I think he's an inferior player to Di Maria.
Yeah,
and I think with Memphis Depay as well, he's probably got a more inflated ego than Angel Di Maria. I've never known anyone to think that he's probably like the Kanye West of football. The amount of self-belief that he has. But you can't knock him for what he's done for Holland. Am I right in saying he's their leading goal scorer of all time?
Yeah.
Considering the players and strikers that they've had.
That amazes me.
Like Van Basten, Van Nistelrooy, Van Persie, and Memphis Depay is their leading goal scorer. There was a time I think he scored for United. Was it against Barcelona or something? And it was a right sweet goal in Europe.
Yeah, I think it wasn't Barcelona. It was in the qualifiers, wasn't it? It was in like the
and I thought,
wow.
Round. And he put his foot through it, and I thought, wow, what have we signed there? But again,
Club Brugge it was.
Yeah, Club Brugge. But like that was it. There was very little else.
Yeah.
And all anyone remembers is the outfits that he used to wear.
I was dead excited when we got him. I'd seen a few bits of him at PSV, and I thought, oh yeah, he's a player here, young. Van Gaal knew him. Looked like just the sort of player we'd want, could take free kicks, run at defenders, but he's one who just absolutely fell off a cliff. And I think it was confidence. He was a confidence player, and you could see his confidence just drained. It really did. And like you said, he's Holland's top scorer, 46 goals in 98 games. But this is the thing with him, right? For Holland, I've watched Holland quite a lot. I don't even think he's that great for him. I know that might sound insane because he scored 46 goals in 98 games. But I think if you look at him in the big games, right, the way you win tournament football for your country is you have players that when you get to a semi-final of a World Cup or quarter-final of a Euro, they can step up, yeah? They can deliver. And he's not that guy. He won't. He might get you some goals in the knockout. In the group stages. But if you're going up against a Brazil or a France or a whoever, is Memphis Depay the guys that's going to get you that win? No. That's why Holland haven't won anything since he's been playing for him.
That's the thing.
Not just because of him, but others.
But go back up. So if you look at the goals per year, during the pandemic, 2021, he scored 17 goals in 16 games for Holland. It's like, who was in that group? Do you know?
It's a great point.
There must have been like a San Marino or someone in there where he's bagged a decent
This
amount.
is what I mean, and it can be so deceptive, international football, because you could look at it and you
single digits every other year.
Yeah, and I just feel like, and they play him as a 9 as well. He's not a 9. I think that's where he's been playing under Koeman, and I've just never been impressed with him that much. You may disagree. Get involved.
Waste bin.
Yeah.
Waste bin for Memphis Depay, along with Angel Di Maria and Michael Owen. So far, we've got David Beckham, Eric Cantona and Cristiano Ronaldo in the top bin.
And I think that you're not going to get anyone else in that top bin out of the ones we've got, to be honest with you. But let's move on. Let's see who else is taking over. There might be one that's a bit of a debatable one as we move along. So Memphis Depay, I think he was here for 2 seasons as the number 7, and then Jose Mourinho didn't want him, made that abundantly clear pretty much as soon as he arrived. So he moved on, and then his number eventually went to Alexis Sanchez.
Alexis Sanchez, the Billy Joel.
Go on.
Piano Man.
Ah, nice. I like that.
Yeah. That was a horrendous sort of...
It would have been all right if it had been a successful signing.
Yeah.
For me, Manchester United's worst ever signing.
Because of everything else?
Yeah, not in terms of ability, but the expectation, the money we put him on, the deal we did, I think we swapped him for Mkhitaryan and might have even chucked them a few quid as well.
Yeah.
Just terrible for United. Terrible.
He was peak Glazer fuckery or Woodward, just complete, like, what you don't know what you're doing, and in many ways it felt like it was at a time when obviously City were getting better and better, that we couldn't beat them on the pitch. So it was like, right, well, we'll sign the players that you want.
He was going to go to
City, and it was like, okay, so you can't get him. So that was our win, because we wasn't going to win the league. But we were hoping Sanchez was going to do something, because he had his day. He was great at Arsenal for a while, but even the swap deal with Mkhitaryan didn't work out too well for Arsenal. But he did an interview, I think it was earlier on this year, about like within a week of being there or a few days, he'd gone doing a training session. He went home and said, can we rip up the contract? I don't want to be at Old Trafford. Now, does that say anything about Alexis Sanchez, or does that say stuff about Manchester United at the time under Jose Mourinho? But it didn't work. I can only think of one Sanchez goal that stands out, and I think that was a header. Was it against City?
I can't remember.
Did he score against City? No, Newcastle it was.
Right.
3-2.
Okay.
Old Trafford.
I mean, I remember he played in the City game where we beat him at Egg after postponing them winning the league.
Yeah, no, it was Newcastle at home.
I remember, didn't he? It was the semi-final against Spurs. I think he might have played well in that game as well. But there's not many games to choose from. He was shocking. It was, I think, one of his best games against Yeovil, which says it all. The next one in the list is more divisive. Put Alexis Sanchez bottom of the bottom pile. Edinson Cavani.
Cavani, I think, was a striker we should have signed a good couple of years before, because I think in terms of his ability, it was amazing. And when he could be bothered to turn up for work, which was far and few between.
That first season, I think, innit?
Yeah.
That first season, he was fine.
But
he was great.
But it became a sick note as his contract progressed.
Yeah.
But he scored some sweet goals, man, and important goals, like the last couple of minutes and stuff. Like I think he saved Ollie's skin a good few times. But great hair, great song. I don't know if he was a great player for Manchester United. He was certainly better than the last 3 that we've mentioned, but I don't know if he warrants going into the top bin. If there was 3 bins, he'd go in the middle.
Yeah, because that first season was great or decent or good. The second season, and I lost my head with him when he trained all week, and then it was the game at the Etihad, he weren't available. And even the manager was like, I don't know why he's not available. He's been training all week, he's been fine. He just felt like he didn't fancy it. Yeah, so for that left the sour taste in my mouth. We'll put him in between, probably edging towards the not great bin. After that comes the second coming of Cristiano Ronaldo. Mick Holland says Cavani was decent in his first season. Jim Max says Sanchez header was against the goal. Was it back across the goal? Mick Holland said Sanchez's only good game was against City in the 3-2 win. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Ridwan says, scored in the Europa League final, Cavani. That first season, was that? Yeah, his first season, did alright.
Yeah.
It's his second season, he just didn't want to be here. It was Ronnie getting in here or whatever. Just didn't happen for him. After that, then, his second coming of Cristiano Ronaldo.
A move that Solskjaer even alluded to himself may have derailed his plans where he saw United coming, but it was a move again that United wanted to make in the same way as Alexis Sanchez, because they didn't want Cristiano Ronaldo going to Manchester City, which none of us wanted either. But in terms of the impact that it had at United, it was amazing. And I remember the week, I'm sure you do, the week leading up to Ronaldo coming back, it was like the Messiah has risen again. It really was. And like the romantic in all fans thought that he was coming back to Old Trafford and helping the Phoenix rise from the flames. Turned out that he was just pouring more petrol on the bonfire by the end of his time here. So I don't know, if I'd put Cristiano Ronaldo's second stint in, where would you put that if you looked at it in its own sort of context?
I think the first season he did well. He scored 25 goals, wasn't it? It's like 18 in the league, 6 in the Champions League. You can't grumble at those numbers. It's not his fault the team weren't performing. I thought he was one of the only players that actually did reach any decent levels. Obviously, he lost the baby as well during that and carried on playing. You can't ignore that. So I do feel like that first season was good. Just even just going off the numbers, and like I think he's still the last person to score a hat-trick for Manchester United was Cristiano Ronaldo, which says more about United than him. But you know, it's still a fact. The second season, like Cavani, so you're talking about the second season of his second stint.
Yep.
So that wasn't great. The Piers Morgan thing, leaving early. The only good thing about that was he left quite early.
Yeah.
He didn't linger around and make it. It could have carried on all season that and been an issue. And don't think that season we finished third and won a trophy. I don't think he would have offered anything. The mood he was in, he didn't want to be there. He wasn't playing well for Manchester United. He needed a move. He got it, got loads of money, and everyone's sort of moved on. So I think if we're going to differentiate the two Ronaldo spells, the second one would be probably, in the crap bin.
In the crap bin.
But they're not at the bottom of it.
Right, okay.
Just because of that first season. Listen, scoring 25 goals in a season, Manchester United. If someone did that this season, 18 Premier League goals, we'd be going mental.
We certainly
Do you know what I mean? If any of our attackers get 25 goals this season, we'll be fucking buzzing. So you can't dismiss it, and obviously everything he went through too, but not great. That brings us up to Mason Mount.
Right. How many games does he play for United?
25.
25 over 2 years, is it?
Well, one and a bit.
One and a bit. Right, okay. How many minutes has he played?
I don't know.
So not a lot, is it?
I'm not going to bother looking.
Mason Mount's highlight, the only thing of note that I can remember of Mason Mount during his time was him getting injured the other week and putting something on Instagram. That's the highlight reel of Mason Mount's career at Manchester United.
Do you know what the mad thing is, right? I think when I'm trying to defend him, I think the goal against Brentford, he scored in the 93rd minute and it ended up not even being the winner because they scored in the 98th minute. There was the 45 minutes against Brighton where he did really well and then he got injured at half-time, or he got injured by half-time and had to come off. And then you're looking at other things, you think like, okay, he came on against Liverpool in the 4-3, but I remember turning to my mate after he'd been on for 15 minutes and he hadn't touched the ball yet, Like, it didn't matter because we won, but it wasn't like he played a part in that win in doing anything that, it's not like he did a Diallo or whatever where you go, look at that goal or, assist or whatever. Didn't really do a lot. Just been so far a horrible signing for Manchester United. And this just carries on this idea that the number 7 shirt is done. I think it's done as a thing.
You think?
Yeah, man.
He's not going to be able to turn it around, and I don't think he's got the sort of charisma as a player, especially like so we've only got 3 in the top bin. So maybe it's not been magic for a long, long time.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Look at the last one who did really well with it was Ronnie before he came back.
Yeah, they probably should retire it like when Mount leaves.
Magic because of him.
Because of him. Like
we're not going to retire his shirt because of Robbo or Cantona or Beckham or Ronnie. We're going to retire it because of Mason Mount.
Do you think Mount asked for it, or because Mount doesn't strike me as a sort of player that should wear the number 7 anyway? Looking at the greats that have wore it, he doesn't seem to. I
think it's a marketing decision.
That's what it's turned into.
I think they've said to him, "Look, do you want? We're going to give you the iconic shirt." And I think, to be fair, the kid, he's probably thought, "Right, yeah, you've got to have a little bit of confidence, a little bit of ego." He's probably thought, "Right, I'll come in and I'll do it. I'll make it work." But it's not at all. And now you're in a situation. Do you take it off him?
Okay, so we've gone who's going to go in the bad bin and who's going to go in the good bin. So we've got 3 in the good bin.
Yeah.
I'm going Cantona, Ronaldo, Beckham.
I think...
Personal point of view.
Yeah.
I think not on ability, it would be Ronaldo, Cantona, Beckham.
Yeah, I'll go Eric top. I'll go... Do you know what? I'll go Eric, Beckham, Ronnie. Just because I think Beckham might not have been as talented as Cristiano Ronaldo, but what he did over the course of his United career, I think there's probably more good moments in all than Ronnie. Ronnie had that amazing 3 seasons, really. Yeah. I think Beckham had slightly longer than that.
Okay.
So it's close. It's very close. But Eric's topping it.
Right. Who's the worst?
Sanchez.
Sanchez
for me. Although, Mason Mount can always usurp him.
Yeah, he could win something this season.
Mason, turn it around, son.
Yeah.
We back you, yeah. We believe in you. You're gonna get them stitches out your head, get back onto that pitch, and absolutely smash it. And you'll be top of that number 7s list in a few years' time. Big thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Make sure if you're not doing, you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Also, while we're at it, I'll do a little cheeky Patreon link there in the chat, so you can.
I enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. We should do more of these.
We're going to do more historic.
If you've got any
stuff,
if you've got any sort of suggestions, what else would you like to do?
Should we do number 8?
We're going to go for is number 8 a thing? Should we make it a thing?
Yeah, we can do. Why not?
Best number ones.
Paulins, Bruno.
Here we go. If there was a number 7 in today's squad, if someone that you could nominate it to, who would you give it to? That isn't Mason Mount.
What, give it to someone else?
Yeah. Is there anyone that you say you're more of a number 7 than him?
The number 7 has evolved because Robbo had it in it for years, but everyone else since then has been more of an attacker. So with that in mind, do you know who I'd give it to?
Garnacho.
Diallo.
Would you give it to Diallo? Diallo seems like too much of a nice boy to do.
No, he's got a bit of edge to him.
No, Garnacho, the South American winger. That seems more number 7.
You're just saying that because he scored the other day.
All right. I've been Scott. That's been more. Get involved in the comments, and we shall see you soon.
Thank you to everyone who supported the channel.